Hello, Sligo. Hello, Sligo. This is number one in some little snippets of learning Walk Between the Raindrops. I know some of you know it. So I'm just going to be over the week, or over the days, having some snippets. So I'll probably take about 4 of these little 3-minute videos for you to learn it. So I'm going to play it first. Here we go. Join in if you want. When a shadow crossed our blue Miami sky, as we hit the causeway by the big hotels, and we fought, and I can't remember why. After all the words we said, our tears were done, we vowed we'd never say goodbye. When we kissed, dirty days, we could hear the sound of thunder. Where we go? We could see the country by the big hotels. We kissed again as the shadow swept the fog in the shore. You opened your umbrella and we walked between the raindrops back to your door. We walked between the raindrops back to your door. Oh, that's as far as we're going to go with that one before the Miami thing. So, I'm just going to go over the melody. It's such a fun song. And you can all be joining in with me because I'm going to be doing a Zoom thing and all sorts of things. Everyone's going to be doing all sorts of things. Thanks, Eddie. Let us do this. Anyway, lesson 1. The shadow across the blue Miami sky. Get that in. Miami sky. Rather than Miami sky. Sing it like that if you want. I've got it. A shadow, 3, 4, cross the blue Miami sky. Ba-do-da, But as we hit the causeway by the big hotels, we fought, and I can't remember why. After all the words we said and tears were done, we vowed we'd never say goodbye. When we kissed, Clarice, we could hear the sound of thunder. We could see the causeway by the big hotels. We kissed again, yes we did, as the shadows swept the Florida shore. You opened your umbrella and we walked between the raindrops back to your door. We walked between the raindrops back to your door. Oh, Miami! So that's the melody. Chords are lovely. The way I'm recording this is back to front. This is my right hand, that's my left hand. So if I'm playing piano, it looks like I'm doing it the wrong way round. So that's why you've just got my breastplates. So that's to be getting on with. And I shall see you very shortly for the next one. In a minute. Bye. I might wear something blue. Don't know. I've just got to match the curtains. See you later. Bye.
Hey, alright, it's Paul Dunlea here. Just a quick video on a quick and easy kind of way of getting all your major arpeggios sorted on the trombone by using a couple of handy patterns on the slide. So starting in C major, use the traditional positions on there, starting in 6th on your C. But moving on up a semitone through every major arpeggio from here on, from D flat to F, you can use this handy slide pattern. So you start on your D flat in 5th, and moving on to 6th for your F and 7th for your A flat, and back to D flat. You're using some alternative positions for notes, which is handy to kind of learn how to get those in tune and stuff. But it's also a handy pattern that you can continue on from D flat all the way up to F and get every arpeggio. Hopefully I'll play all these in tune. So starting in D flat. There you go, that's every major arpeggio from D flat to F using that one pattern. So you start in the position of the tonic note you're starting the arpeggio on, then move out one slight position for your 3rd, move out another slight position for your 5th, and back to the original position. That gets you every single arpeggio from D flat to F. Now the second, carrying on semitone up again, is G flat, and you can use what's termed as fretting on the trombone for this. So that's basically playing all of the notes of the arpeggio in the same position. Now you will have to correct and tune certain notes. It won't be dead on the slide for every note, but it's just another handy way of getting all of the notes of that arpeggio down. So starting on G flat for your G flat major arpeggio in 5th, and using 5th position ish for all of the notes. This is what it should hopefully sound like. And you can use this pattern to get every arpeggio from G flat to B flat. So that's every arpeggio from D flat to B flat using 2 specific slide patterns. The 2 further arpeggios to get us from C major 2 octaves is your next arpeggio starting in B natural. So you start in B natural on 4th, and you use 3rd for the D sharp and the F sharp, and you go to 2nd for your next B, which will sound like this hopefully. And using the same pattern again, slide position wise for your C. So position to start in, up 1 position for the 3rd and the 5th, and up to the top for your octave. So that's it, just to recap. I hope I'll be able to play them all in one go. Here we go. So starting in C in the traditional place. There you go. Hope that this has been helpful, and see you all again very soon. Cheers. Thank you very much.
Hi everyone, Eddie Lee has challenged me to make a 3-minute jazz piano lesson. Unfortunately, we're not at Sligo Jazz this week, otherwise it would have been much longer, but given what we've got 3 minutes. Let's do some piano. So, our 3 minutes starts now. A lot of you will be familiar with a 2-5-1 progression. Let's just play one very quickly. This is into the key of C major, D minor, G7, C major 7. Play that once more. D minor, G7, C major 7. But how do we jazz these up? How do we make them sound like we hear on jazz recordings? And the answer is we use what's called upper structures. Now there's a couple of rules for an upper structure. An upper structure can only happen on the dominant chord that resolves. So in this instance, the G7. And here's what it sounds like, and then we'll talk about it. I'm sure you heard it. You heard that on the G7. And this is what I played. I played... The eagle-eyed amongst you will have noticed that is A flat minor. So what this means is whenever we have a dominant chord which resolves, which in this case the G7 does, we can move this voicing in the right hand up half a semitone, up a half a tone, which is a semitone, turn it into a minor chord, A flat minor, keeping the G in the left hand, and resolving. So we get this D minor, G7 with A flat minor on the top, resolving. And we can use this over a whole bunch of 2-5-1s. So F minor, B flat 7 with a B minor on the top, resolving to E flat major. B flat minor, E flat 7 with E minor on the top, A flat major. So those are upper structures. We can use them anywhere that you have a 2-5-1, not just in those keys. Anytime you have a 2-5-1 and anytime the 2-5-1 resolves, you can use one of these upper structures to make your playing sound like... So, get practicing, and hopefully see you all next year. Bye-bye.
Hi friends and Sligo family. It's lovely to be making these videos for you. It's a shame we're not going to be able to get together all in person, but there we are. I'm going to be making some vocal warm-up videos, that one a day, and you can build them up. So you can do today's, and then tomorrow do this one plus tomorrow's, and the next day, etc, etc. So by the end on Friday, you should have 5 warm-up videos you can do all together. So we'll start by just getting your body right. So standing up, making sure you can see this video at about eye level. Nice and tall, head to the ceiling. Head is holding up the sky and your shoulders are just sliding down your back. Nice and relaxed. And your knee should be soft, so not locked back. And let's just roll the right shoulder back and roll the left shoulder back. And roll the left one forward and the right one forward. Take them up to your ears and just let them go. And a double shoulder roll. You could do that a couple more times if you wanted to. Now take your hands onto your face and let's just give your facial muscles a bit of a rub. Whilst you're doing it, you could also do a bit of yoga with your face sort of stretching, making yourself look a bit weird. Just to try and release some of the tension. I hold the tension here, a lot of singers hold it here in these cheek muscles. Get underneath there as well, give it a little bit of a, just bring a bit of awareness to those muscles there. Nice, and then just open your mouth nice and wide. That's it. Okay, what we're going to do is get you to clean your teeth with your tongue. So you're going to take your tongue all the way around your top teeth. Let's do that. And back. On your bottom teeth. Back. And the back of your teeth. And the back of the top of your teeth. And then I want you to put your tongue to the back of your bottom teeth. And then just give your tongue a stretch. Push against those teeth so it looks like this. Stretch your tongue out. Do it again. And then let your tongue just fall to your lip. And maybe say th, th, th a couple of times. Let your tongue fall onto your lip again. Give yourself a bit of a neck stretch, a tiny pull across with a slack face. Keep your tongue out of your mouth, hanging out, and the same thing on the other side. Slack tongue, and nice and tall again.
Hi, Josephine Davies here, saxophonist and composer, and today we're going to be talking about practicing keys. Why do we practice key centres? Well, because firstly, the more sophisticated the jazz standard, the more likely it is that it could pass through uncommon key centres. But secondly, the more fluent you are in any key and the more fluent you become on your instrument, the more sophisticated and the better and freer your improvisation will become. So, what is a good way into practicing keys? Through the means of a scale. But most of you may have come across a scale that is merely up and down like this. Great, that's all well and good, it's good for technique and it means that you know your scale, but it's not very good as a basis for learning how to improvise or for a way into a key centre. So I'm going to show you two ways of practicing scales slightly differently, but of course there are endless possibilities of how to practice them. So the first way is going to be rhythmic development of the scale. I'm putting my metronome, by the way, on crotchet equals 100, but this is on 2 and 4, and you can slow it down, speed it up, wherever you like. So the first thing I'm going to do is add triplets to the scale. So I'm going to play the scale. This is a C major, concert C major scale, or D major on a B flat instrument. I'm going to play it 2 octaves in quavers, but every now and then I'm going to add a triplet. I'm not going to decide where that triplet comes, so I'm already adding an element of improvisation and creativity to the mix. Okay, so you can do that in lots of different forms. You can play crotchets and add quavers, you can add triplets, you can mix and match. And the second way of embellishing the scale is to add some melodic development. So rather than play each note step by step, I'm going to move around a bit, go up and down, and again, this is going to add the element of improvisation and creativity into the mix. Okay, so you can do that endlessly in all of the different keys and then get more and more into a way of improvising with them. So you can limit yourself and be quite strict about which mode or scale you're using and only play within that mode. but you can get creative within it, and hopefully that will lead you to a sense of being able to really inhabit that sound, that key centre, so that when it comes to putting it into the context of something that's moving around more, then you'll be more fluent.
Hello. I can't stress enough how important it is to keep music the subject. Drumming is really just a clip-on. If the music's in place, the drumming finds a way. So learn a tune, learn tunes properly all the way through. If you go to Billie Holiday on Spotify, YouTube, singing All of Me, and learn to sing the tune. 1, 2, 3, 4, ba, beep, ba, beep, ba, beep, om, beep, om. I'm just playing accenting beep, ba, bom. I'm playing quavers on my li, bo, ba, beep, om. We can roll between accents. Ba, but learn the whole thing. Then we can take the same thing, playing the time, and our comping comes from knowing where the tune is. To really get that tune inside us, we can try keeping that in our head, keeping the sequence in our head, and singing a tune based on that, just putting it around a little bit. And I'll play what I sing, and then without any drum technique at all, I can play a competent musical version of the tune. So I can go 1, 2, 3, 4, ah, 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 ah. Think about it. Ta-da.
Hi there, I'm Linley Hamilton, and I just want to do a short series of videos which will provide ideas for you on what to listen for when you're listening to jazz, so that you can maybe apply it to your own playing. I think sometimes we forget that even if we are new to playing jazz or finding the improvisational elements challenging, that we are already probably steeped in music from other genres. We might be good readers, or we might know the notes, or even a big chunk of the scales. Or maybe we are ear players and we're hoping to learn the theory. Well, this little 3 or 4 minute video today is about approach to learning. And it's always good to remember that jazz is still music, and so there are lots of things that we do that are inherently good that we forget can be applied to jazz. These short sound bites are just to get you focused on thinking. And the idea is that if we can put a musical idea to the front of our head before we practice or even gig, if we make that idea an area of focus, then we should have a chance to at least attempt to apply it instantaneously. The more we think of it and internalize the concept, the more we apply it in the practice room, the more we attempt to play it on the gig, the more it becomes part of how we play, how we formulate the jazz language. and that's the notes that we choose to use over the chord changes. How we shape those notes with jazz grammar, that's the rests, the articulations, phrase length, mixed note lengths, that be, crotchets, quaver, triplets, dotted notes, whatever, the dynamic contours, and even the accents that we are playing. So when we play, there is so much happening that it has to click to make a coherent solo with good time, phrasing, note choice, motivic ideas, and narrative. It is similar in many ways to driving a car, for those of you who can already do that. There's the key, the mirrors, indicator, clutch, gears, brake, handbrake, accelerator. Then there are the windows that you look out to see the instructions of the road, speed limits, hidden dip, roundabout approaching. All these instructions and all these elements driving a car that have to come together correctly all the time to guarantee you returning safely to that parked position. But when you drive now, it doesn't seem so hard. In fact, you probably have the radio on, or even better, you're listening to a CD of Liane Carroll or Sachel Vasandani. That's because you've thought out and practiced the individual processes, you've learned the road signs, and either sitting beside an instructor or even since you've passed your test, you've driven a lot of miles and had a chance to put everything into practice, dealing with different situations. Some driving by yourself, others maybe with a passenger, or obviously every day having to engage with other road users, cars, lorries, pedestrians. Through all these practice tasks and a range of different experiences, you have internalized the process. You have internalized the process. Much of it you don't think about. It just happens naturally in an automated way. And that's what we want you to do with improvising. So maybe identifying elements to practice and learn. Could be the tunes, could be the notes, the language, could be the grammar, the way to phrase it, what rests to use, how to build the narrative. We want you to identify music to listen to and players to listen to on your own instrument, preferably, that will help you hear the processes correctly done in action. Then we want you to practice these elements by yourself, maybe by learning tunes, maybe by playing along with a play along, maybe by playing the scales, maybe by playing the chord tones, by learning how to develop little linear activity that is grammatically or chordally correct. We want you eventually to practice and rehearse these ideas and these tunes and all these different things you're doing with other people. You're interacting with them. We want you to explore jamming and gigging opportunities. We want you to develop an individual style eventually. And also we want you to consider the learning process as a lifelong process where learning will always continue to happen throughout your playing career, no matter how long you live, because there will always be something to learn, or someone who's better than you, or someone who has something to say or play that's going to float your boat. To summarise and give it a sporting analogy, which I think is a really good thing to do, because if you are going to be learning for years and years and years, then you want to be identifying little things every so often that you want to make a focus on, and add that to the individual areas of practice that will eventually have a cumulative effect on your playing. So we want to identify a range of different elements that are worked on individually so that you can achieve a marginal gain in those individual elements, and then by combining them in performance, that you're attaining a cumulative improvement. It's going to take time, but we have time, and we have time to practice, we have time to listen. The enjoyment will continue to grow the longer you do it, but for now, let's just do it. Let's just enjoy it. Be patient and think process, not just the notes.
Hello Sligo Jazzers. Welcome to this little mini workshop. I'm going to talk about the tune I Got Rhythm. I Got Rhythm was written in 1930 by George and Ira Gershwin, and it's provided a framework for thousands and thousands of jazz tunes that swing players and bebop players play. Let's talk a little bit about the structure. I Got Rhythm is 4 8-bar sections, so A, A, B, A. It's in B flat major. The bridge starts on D7. The B flat major sections, basically the harmony is just a turnaround for 4 bars. B flat, B flat, G, C, F. And in bar 5 it goes to B flat 7. Bar 6 goes to E flat. Some people put an E diminished after the E flat. And then it goes to 2 bars of turnaround again in bar 7 and 8. So there you got it. You know the first 8 bars of I Got Rhythm. The bridge starts on D7. So we're in B flat. The bridge goes up to D7. Around the cycle, G7, C7, F7. Then we're back at the last 8 bars. So I'll play the melody to I Got Rhythm, and then I'll walk a couple of choruses using the same chord structure that we just talked about. Okay, here's I Got Rhythm. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Rhythm.
Hello, beautiful people. I'm really glad that the festival is still going on, even in this online format. It's fantastic because music cannot be stopped, jazz cannot be stopped, and most importantly, Eddie Lee cannot be stopped. He's like a steam train, so you better just give up. So now, my name is Oleg. I teach violin, jazz violin, hot club violin, and in this very short but very concentrated video we are going to talk about just one thing. Very simple. What makes jazz jazz? What is the difference between jazz and non-jazz? You know, I ask this question to my students very often, and I got all the sorts of kind of answers. Harmony, jazz harmonies. No, absolutely no. Because there are hundreds of composers who are using the same harmonies, Ravel, Shostakovich, Scriabin, and so on. No. Or scales, blues scales, for example. Again, no, because there are a lot of composers and lots of styles of music which use blues scale, so it does not make jazz. The fact that jazz is improvised music, again, no, because most of the styles of music are improvised, and even classical musicians, you know all those names, starting with Bach, Mozart, Vivaldi, Corelli, Haydn, Handel, all of them, they all were fantastic improvisers. So improvisation, no. We can go forever, we can go on forever. So I'll just tell you straight away. The only thing, well, obviously articulation, accents, it's like in a language you have different accents. You can speak English with Cork accent, or you can speak English with Australian accent, or you can speak English with, I don't know, British accent, or you can speak English with Russian accent, as I do. So those are different styles of music. But again, before that, this is something much more fundamental. And this is the first thing you have to learn if you are going to play jazz. Swing. Swing. Now, there are millions of different books written on swing where very important people explain to you how to play swing. And some of they say that that's actually, this is a feel. So yes, it is a feel. But the thing is that you are musicians, which means that already you you have your ears, you have your intuition, so you will get it. What I'm going to do, I'm going to give you a theoretical explanation. Obviously, it's much more than that, but this is a beginning, a first step. So, let me play something for you. I'm going to play arpeggio, which is, I don't know, A major triad. Okay, it's not jazz. Now I'm going to syncopate this arpeggio, and I'm going to syncopate it in a classical manner. Does it sound jazzy? No. Now listen to this. Okay, so what is the difference? Very simple. Of course there's a bowing, of course accentuation and so on, but the main fundamental difference is when you speak about syncopation in classical music, you're talking about, let's say you're talking about quaver, 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 which is crotchet, dotted crotchet, and a quaver. So you play like this: 1 2 3 1 1 2 3 1 1 2 3 1 1 2 3 1 1. This is your classic syncopation. Everything to do with jazz, even in the modern jazz. What is the time structure and feel when you just imagine a big band, Armstrong, any big band? What is it that you hear first? Hi-hat, bass, piano, they all play in triplets. This is your kind of theoretical explanation of swing. So instead of 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4 1, everything you play instead of 4, you play in 3. 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3 1. Here your hi-hat. 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3 1. This is your bass. 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3 So count triplet instead of 1 2 3 and 4. And this is how you start swinging. As I said, there's much more to that. Articulation, accents, like for example in classical music we have accents on the first and third beat. In the jazz it's mostly second and fourth and so on, but this is a different video and this is a different lecture. For the moment, just remember triplets: 3 instead of 4. And then you made your first step to this mountain, which is called jazz. Beautiful. Thank you, and I hope to see you very soon. Goodbye.
Hi folks, my name is Mike Nielsen. I'm just going to do 3 or 5 different rhythmic independence clips. So this is number 1, rhythmic independence 1. And I'm going to use a rhythm, very simple rhythm, which will be in 3/4, 1, 2, and 3. So it's a quarter, 2 8 notes, and a quarter. But we split them between the 2 hands. So we go together, right, left, right, together, right, left, right. So it's like 3 in one hand, and actually an even 3 in one hand, and even 2 in the other. So it's a composite rhythm. I call these reduction rhythms, when 2 rhythms can be reduced to one single, or 2 different modulations can be reduced in one rhythm. So here we go, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Now let's switch to the 2 side. Sometimes you can count the third beat, first and third beat of the 3 side, but you're actually counting the second 8 note, the first beat and the second 8 note, and that gives you the 2 side. 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2. So we're doing 2 of each. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2. Now we're just going to do 1 of each. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. That was 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Now 1 of each. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. So that's the very basic rhythm, which actually gives you 2 equal beats in each hand when you approach it like that. Now we try the other hand. This is the 3 and this is the 2. And you just do it a bit so your brain can take in that you're doing the opposite way. 2, 3. So this is what you're doing. 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, and 3. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2. So that's the first rhythmic independence, and I'll see you in the next one.
For these short videos, I'd like to talk mainly about sound production and how I developed over the years practicing to get a better tone, warmer tone. And one very important aspect I'd like to start with is, of course, long tones, but how I approach long tones and using subtone, which is kind of hasn't been heard a lot of lately. The last few years, I don't hear too many people talking about subtone. A lot of students don't even know what subtone is or haven't heard about it. So what subtone is, you'll probably remember hearing Ben Webster and Coleman Hawkins. You hear the older players using subtone. And this is just a freeness of your embouchure and your bite, no bite, and really developing your embouchure in a proper form. And I'll play. You'll know straight away when you hear it. Let me play just a little bit. So developing your embouchure is critical to getting a good subtone and a good sound. So what I'm trying to show, hopefully, is that there's no bite. And you're folding your lip ever so slightly. We're not going like this. You're not biting on your bottom lip this way. We're doing a fold. No biting. And how to develop this, which is a good little way, is with your bottom teeth, it's like you're just scratching the inside of your lip, like that. No biting, and keep your jaw as low as you can. Keep your jaw back. So if we bite, that's not subtone. So that really helps to create a wider and more focused tone.
Okay, hello everybody. You're welcome to this mini series entitled What You Can Do to Be a Better Jazz Pianist by the time SJP Sligo Jazz Project 2021 comes around. Anyone who was in my class last year at Sligo Jazz 2019, I finished that class with a list of tips that would help, I guess, younger, less experienced piano players improve by the time the following year's jazz project came around. And so I'm going to repeat that and build on it and add to it for anyone who's interested in what I have to say. So, you want to play jazz. You want to be a better jazz player, but it's just a bit daunting. How do I even start? How do I get near this? How do I approach it? How am I best going to spend my time practicing? So this is a little introduction. The following 4 videos, there will be more detail, but this is an introduction to what you might be able to do over the next year to help you improve. The first thing in this introduction is listen. I get an awful lot of people coming up to me and saying, Kieran, I'd love to play jazz piano. I say, great. Who do you want to be able to play like? Or what's your favorite jazz piano piece? Or who's your favorite jazz singer? And I get, I'm not sure, I just like jazz, you know? And that says to me, okay, you like the idea of jazz, but you probably haven't heard that much of it. If you want to be a good jazz piano player, you gotta listen to some jazz, especially jazz piano, but any jazz, just to get the language into your head, to get the patterns, the nuances, all the things that make jazz what it is and make it different from other styles of playing. So the first thing is to listen. When I was starting out as a jazz student, there were 2 albums I listened to over and over again because they featured my favorite jazz pianist, who was Oscar Peterson. These albums were Ella and Louie, 2 of the most famous jazz performers ever, Ella Fitzgerald and Louis Armstrong. Ella and Louie was the title of one album, and Ella and Louie Again was the title of the second album. Featured Oscar Peterson on the piano, as well as Ray Brown on bass, and I think Ed Thigpen on the drums, if I'm not mistaken. But I could be. There's 2 places to start. It's straight ahead standards, done really, really well with some lovely arrangements, some lovely key changes, some lovely piano intros. All straight down the line stuff that will just improve your ear and get you listening better to jazz. So that's the first thing, listen. It might not be Ella and Oscar or Ella and Louie. It might be Jacob Collier. It might be Liane Carroll, one of Sligo Jazz Project's tutors for the last few years. Whoever it is, find some jazz that you like and listen to it, because that's going to help you. That is the first step to becoming a better jazz piano player. Okay, 2 more quick tips before we move on to the next video. Second tip, get a metronome app on your phone. I would recommend 50, 60, 70, maybe even 80% of your practice should be done with a metronome. It makes your timing better. There's just no 2 ways about it. Practice with a metronome. I use Tempo, it's a free app. There's loads of them out there. Get a metronome app on your phone and do your practice with it. And finally, this is just another tip in our introduction. Don't practice until you get it right. Practice until you don't get it wrong. There's a difference. Anyone can get something right once. You can practice and get it right and off you go, you think you have it. But you sit down again a couple hours later and you try it and it's gone. You can't do it anymore. You don't really know something unless you practice it until you don't get it wrong. That means getting it right every time. Okay, I have a method which will help you with that, which I'll show you in one of the later videos. But for now, I hope this is along the lines of what you hoped to learn. And if it is, join me for the next 4 videos in the series happening all throughout the week. Cheers.
You here. In today's lesson I'm looking at some jazz blues for solo guitar. There are some cool chord voicings and some interesting harmonic techniques involved. They can be played with pick or with fingers or a combination of both. So let's get started. Let's have a look at the second 12 bars of the etude. It starts out with an A13 chord, the root on the top and the 7 at the bottom. Then it goes up a semitone to a A sharp 13 with the 9th on top. Back to the A13. So we have this kind of a sidestepping there, which creates a bit of motion where you momentarily go outside the key. So the next bar then, where we go to the 4 chord, the D, we play in a D 9th, then a D sharp 13, then the D9 again. So that mirrors the first bar rhythmically. So we have these 2 bars together. Then bar 3 is the A13, up a semitone again, A13, and then we have this little movement here. We're approaching E minor by a semitone above, then to an A13 and an A flat 13. So we have bar 5 then, to the 4 chord, which is the D9 standard shape there. And we outline a D13, I suppose. So we have the 13 and a 9 there. Then we go to a minor here. To a G13. G sharp diminished. And we're back to our A, our first chord. Okay, so here we want to get from A7 to F sharp, which is up here. So we're going to move in semitones with a A7, A sharp diminished, B minor, C diminished, C sharp diminished, and then to our F sharp. Just approach that with two tones there from a tone above. So we have and then we go to B here, so we approach the B from a semitone above with C7 and then B 13. So that's a nice little phrase, you know, for a B dominant chord. So we have so it's B going to E then. So we approach the 7th by from a tone above, down in semitones. Then a little blues phrase. This here is a bit of country motion, where we have this melody line on top, and then at the bottom we have, so we have two lines crossing each other in different directions. So this is like this. And then for the last chord, we approach the last chord by a semitone above, A sharp 7th to a A7 sharp 9. I find it beneficial when playing a blues such as this to remember that you're still fundamentally playing a 3-chord 1-4-5 blues. The first 4 bars in a jazz blues are still fundamentally the 1 chord. Bars 5 and 6 are still fundamentally the 4 chord. Bars 7 and 8 fundamentally the 1 chord again. And then bars 9 and 10 the 5 chord. And then 11, bar 11, the 1 chord again to the 5 chord in bar 12. This has really helped me to not be too intimidated by these materials. The main difference really between the jazz blues and a traditional 12-bar blues is how you get from 1 chord to another. For instance, jazz blues in bars 5 and 6, we go from the 1 chord to a 6 chord. Now you can get there in many different ways. You can go directly, descend here to the 6th chord, or we can go in semitones, or we could take this path. Or we could do what actually happens in this etude. We ascend rather than descend to the 6th chord, from the 1 chord to the 6th chord. So we have A sharp diminished, B minor, C diminished, C sharp, minor, down. So the idea is, I suppose, to think in simple terms, even though it might be pretty sophisticated in itself. Thanks for watching this video. Remember to practice all materials slowly and to apply them to musical situations as soon as possible. If you wish to purchase my book, the Guitar Chord Doctor, please check the links below. If you haven't already subscribed to my channel, please do. See you next time.